Hey everybody, welcome, and I would like to call this meeting to order for the City of New Bern Municipal Service District Advisory Committee meeting, and today is November the 4th. We're at the Chamber of Commerce conference room. So, Kim, would you please take the roll call?
Sure. David Barthel.
Here.
Sabrina Bingle.
Here.
John Haroldson.
Here.
Mike Lentz.
Here.
Von Lewis.
Here.
Nikki Miller.
Here.
George Oliver.
Here.
Dr. Jim Polo.
Here.
Johnny Robinson.
Here.
Michael Lee. Rose
Oh.
Island.
Here.
Karen Sullivan.
Here.
Alderman Astor. Foster Hughes.
Here.
Okay. I do want to start out the meeting by welcoming our Alderman-elect, Trey Ferguson. I'm so glad to have you here today, and I know I speak for all of us in saying we look forward to working with you. You're an important conduit for what we talk about here today to make happen or not make happen, whatever you and your fellow colleagues deem, but thank you for being here today. And again, we look forward to welcoming you. As you know, Alderman Krill has resigned, so Alderman-elect Ferguson will be sworn in at the next meeting, which is November 14th. Is that it? No, November 12th. November 12th. He'll be sworn in, and he will officially be the alderman for the first ward and participate in that. So feel free to, chime in any point today. We're just really glad to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Okay, in your packet was a set of minutes from the August 19th meeting. I know that everybody has diligently read them, so I'm looking for a motion to approve or additions, amendments, whatever.
Move we approve.
Okay. So I have from John Haroldson and a second from Johnny Robb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much. Kim, will you give us the financial report?
So this financial report is as of September 30th, 2025. Looking at the first page, I'll just remind you the right two columns, 2024 and 2025, are provided as comparison to prior years. The 2025 will be completed. Those numbers will be finalized once we get our financial statements from the auditor, which should be pretty soon. For 2026, we have the total assets being $2,460,187. Liabilities are about $273. We have our inflows and resources, $191,180. This leaves the assigned amount for the community projects at $1.1 million. The unassigned, which is available, of $1,167,557, with our current net position being $2,268,724. That carries over to the next page, where you'll see that at the bottom when it comes over as of September 30th, our net position. Our revenues for this month, or for the end of September, was $45,606. Total expenditures, $87,403. We have some other financing uses of $42,000. That, again, shows where we're at with our revenues to expenses of $2,268,784. And then we have the committee projects, again, of $1.1 million, and then that adjusts our balance available to appropriate at this time of $1,166,814. Your committee projects are on the next page. As of September 30th, this is where it stood. I'd like to note that the armrests for downtown benches, those are in process of ordering. So next month's report, you'll see that move over to probably spent. And then the benches, the 16 benches, those have been received, and the digital kiosks. So do you have any questions about the current projects that you have on here right now?
We're going to get more into depth.
Okay.
With Foster's going to give us an update on that.
Okay.
This is just the financials of it.
Yep.
But as far as any other questions. Anything else on the financial report? Yes, George?
What does encumbered mean?
It means that it's been ordered and not received.
I see.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
So basically, we hold the money to the side so we can pay for it. Otherwise, you order things and you don't have the money.
Very good.
In government, you're in trouble. So, okay, with that being said, I need a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Okay, Mickey, are you second it? I've got a total of seconds. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, great. All right. Foster, we're going to go to the IEDC project update. At the last meeting, we talked about the IECD group that came in, and we wanted to know what came of that. And of course, we didn't at that point have any information. You said it was 6 weeks out, so if you'll go ahead and give us an update on that, I would appreciate it.
Right, so the International Economic Development Council, IEDC, basically had some funds available, and the Eastern Carolina COG had received some of those funds. And so one of the projects was to look at downtown centers. And so the city of New Bern applied for some of that funding, and we received it. We were one of 6 in the Eastern Carolina COGS region that received funding. And so we had 2 representatives from the IEDC come into town on actually they were here June 2nd, 3rd, and June 4th. And we had 9 breakout sessions with a variety. Several of you in this room were here. We had residents, we had business owners, we had nonprofits, local government employees, representative elected officials as well. And so during that meeting, it was an opportunity for the consultants to ask questions and for those that were participating to provide feedback in any unsolicited comments that they wanted to. So they compiled all that information. And that's what's going to be a part of the SOAR analysis that we're going to talk about in just a second. The other component that they did was a survey. And so that survey ran for about 5 months. Shockingly, there were only 124 responses to that survey. So we had a hard time printing it out. You're going to get a digital copy of this after this meeting, but I'm just going to give you a high-level overview of basically what the survey came back as. And basically, respondents described downtown New Bern using words like historic, quaint, and welcoming. The most favored aspects include a variety of restaurants, walkability, and the vibrant atmosphere. Concerns and improvement suggestions included common concerns including the lack of parking and the need for renovations, particularly of the Elks building. Suggestions for improvement focused on enhancing activities for children, maintaining the small town feel, and increasing the diversity of businesses. And under attractions and business development, key attractions include local restaurants, supporting small businesses, and socializing spaces. And then to encourage new businesses, respondents emphasize the need for better parking, lower rent, and some type of tax incentive. Some of the challenges and priorities included challenges to starting a new business, such as the high real estate costs and competition from existing businesses. And then priorities for downtown development, including beautification, business development, and improved public safety. And so for future vision, in the next 5 years, respondents hope that downtown would remain historic, inviting, and friendly with a vibrant and walkable community atmosphere. So again, you're going to get the hard stuff with this in the email. That's a good overview. So on the SOAR analysis that was done, looked at general observations from the visit, and they included the physical environment and infrastructure, and so they said it was a very walkable community, and you'll see this in the handout we've got here. City infrastructure improvements should be prioritized, in particular stormwater management. Sidewalk activity, it's critical to place creation, and city sidewalk restrictions are a hindrance to the businesses creating that bustle. And so didn't get a chance to get an update from where they came with that, but it's also important to remember sidewalks are in the city right of way, so the city will control what's going on in there. I think we've had more issues over the years with when we've done the sidewalk cafes. It takes up a lot of space, and there's usually a constant fight at certain times of the year to make sure that the restaurants that have that sidewalk cafe permit, that keep the tables and chairs and the chains back in their appropriate location, so we've got accessibility on the sidewalks. Historically, we don't have an issue with folks that want to put planters out in front of their businesses and things, but we have seen an issue with signage, and that's going to be addressed shortly with.
Foster, one thing I would like to add to that, I know it's an issue for some businesses, but of course, it was the placement of the trees back in the day, and they didn't take into effect sidewalk cafes, because so what's happened is some people that have the tree is right there, so when I tell you, you've got this much space to walk by, it makes it difficult. So I don't know if there's a program where we could move trees or better placement of them. You know, some of them have been dying anyway and need replacement, but I don't know if that's one of the things that has really hindered.
It didn't really necessarily talk about trees, but trees are an issue downtown, and every year we'll replace 2 to 3 throughout the footprint. It's just time, but he's been here for quite a while.
But would that include location of them possibly?
It could. You know, there is a lot of infrastructure underneath these sidewalks now, so that's something that we always have to pay attention to as well.
Okay, thank you.
Comments on waterfront, it needs to be an obvious extension of downtown. The new fishing pier is an excellent step in the right direction, and the connections between the waterfront and downtown need to be easy to navigate. Other observations include making sure there's a variety of businesses. There's a general lack of business diversity. There's wide concern, particularly among downtown residents, and downtown has too many entertainment establishments that do not serve food during the late hours that they are open. Developing downtown with more of an arts and culture focus could be beneficial. And then they talked about Elks building opportunities, and of course, yet to see exactly what's going to transpire with the Elks building. But we're glad it's been purchased. Other general observations under demographics and population, more offerings for younger residents while also showing members of these demographics how they can be engaged in downtown New Bern. And of course, one of the things that is going to be discussed at our next board meeting is a potential children's museum that could be coming to downtown. So we're excited about that. So in dividing the SOAR analysis, and of course that's strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results, what they looked at in terms of strengths for the city of New Bern is a strong sense of place and walkability, historic charm, and riverfront presence. Tourism is the leading economic driver, with local business activity strongly supported by visitor spending, and then vibrant and active downtown that residents recognize as unique and valuable. Engage local stakeholders from businesses, nonprofits, government, Swiss Berry, and the Chamber are very active downtown. Popular events such as Mumfest, Footloose on the News, and an emerging food and beverage economy are very popular. The infrastructure improvements underway, and they have support from city and county leadership. And then under opportunities, underutilized waterfront areas that could expand the visitor and local experience. The Pepsi experience is a potentially transformative anchor attraction. Of course, we're at the pace of the Bradham's legacy and how things are going to go with that and PepsiCo. And then address the disconnect between business and residential priorities with a balance of vibrancy and livability. Potentially look at expanding the downtown footprint to connect adjacent commercial districts, whether it be the Five Points, the Old Phoenix, and we've had conversations about that synergy going on with the Old Phoenix area, and we just see that continue to expand over the years to attract more residents and visitors. Also improving walkability and signage to highlight underused parking and enhanced wayfinding. Increase diversity in business mix to reduce bar restaurant concentration and broaden appeal while understanding the market is driving the current types of businesses in the area. And then strengthen tourism to local connections through placemaking, programming, and inclusive strategies. Some of the aspirations: downtown is a shared civic space with inclusive retail, dining, arts, and services, a more balanced economy, being less reliant on bars, restaurants, and more resilient to downturns. Activated waterfront with retail, public access, and destination draws like Pepsi experience. Cohesive downtown strategic plan with community buy-in that connects districts and future growth areas. And some of the actions to drive results. They really came up with 2. One of them was plan and prepare for Pepsi Museum impacts, which would affect a variety of things, and then waterfront revitalization. So does anyone have any questions about anything with this? It was when I got it, I thought it was pretty vague and basic. They didn't really dive into a lot of things. But
That's usually what happens.
yeah, absolutely. And of course, while it didn't cost the city anything, you know, it's at least good to have this. You know, we're always looking at, especially want to hear what not only our citizens, but our businesses and other vested interests have to say about downtown and other areas of the city.
It might be a good idea because we have so many of these plans. I've lived through 30 years of plans for this downtown, but maybe, you know, driven by the MSD, we could have a small group to start maybe taking some of these and using them as ways to enact some of this or to make some changes or do something. I mean, this is information, while it may not be specific, we may need to be the ones to make it specific. It's a framework, and maybe we could take this framework and then develop it more by maybe starting here and then, you know, working, have Swiss Fair have a couple of representatives and, you know, other partnerships that we can have and start fleshing this out, so maybe we can get a specific type plan. But, you know, we always want to attract new businesses, we want, you know, and it's the, I don't know, the chicken and the egg with the restaurants draw the retail because then people have more things to do, or is it the retail that draws the restaurant? Had some company this weekend, a high school friend of mine, and they live in upstate New York on their way to Florida, and they couldn't stop talking about how wonderful our town was. Said we had the best signage, we had the best everything. I'm going, wow, that's weird. They complain about that stuff all the time, but their view was totally different. And I was, you know, really excited to hear that my friend's husband is a city council member in Chittenango, New York, wherever that is, upstate New York. And he was just amazed and took a lot of notes and stuff because he liked what he saw here and thought we had so much offer. Stayed at the Tryon Riverfront, was very impressed with your hotel. But again, you know, this is, I think, kind of almost how our urban design plan started. Back in the day, I was part of Urban Design 1 and 2. And, you know, they were vague in essence and then became more specific as we, of course, paid to have that information done.
Madam Chairman, may I
Yes,
interrupt for a
please.
second? I'm noticing that several of these table legs are not properly set, and I would hate for a table to collapse on me.
Thank you, our hero. Does anybody have any other thoughts? I hate to just take this and file it, since I think it is a generic framework, but at least it's a framework.
Maybe along what I think you were getting at with having some folks get together, similar to like we did before, have maybe a planning ad hoc committee, which I would volunteer to be a part of that. So I think there are a lot of great resources out there, and if you go to the Renew Bern site, all those plans are posted on there. And I know so often these plans, a lot of money and a lot of time is spent on them, and then they go on a shelf and no one looks at them again. So it would be a good exercise to re-examine those and then see how they might apply to us. I started to gather them and overlay them on Google Earth to try to see maybe like how they overlay and how we could use them. But it really would be great to have some help with that, and then work with the planning staff to see maybe how we can utilize what's been done, but then I'll maybe update and rework it into the Renew Bern effort also.
I think this would be a good driver for Swiss Fair too, because really, the Main Street program is the driver for both infrastructure, retail, all of the above, and just, again, I just hate to see something sit.
And just also as another endorsement for New Bern, I'm working on several projects in Chester County, Virginia, and I was looking over a planning document there, and it actually had a picture of James Reed Lane as a good example for how to work an urban alley into your community. So New Bern is out there amongst other communities as a good example.
Yeah, totally agree.
If I could add too, I like their actions focusing on the Pepsi experience and then the waterfront, but I was a little surprised throughout this whole thing, they don't talk about some of our liabilities, if you will, which is the flood management and working that. Waterfront development is obviously a wonderful action item, but we have to dovetail that with our flood mitigation plans as well, so.
Well, and to that point, not only the liabilities, but the restrictions.
Right.
in the state.
Right.
Well, yeah, I would love for this group to maybe get involved, or the city to get involved with conversations with Raleigh. I think that we are heinously limited by some of the Raleigh regulations that are CAMA and Neuse River buffer and things like that. And so I take a lot of these things, that it's great to hear what people think, but I often take it with a pound of salt. Because like waterfront development, first of all, the regs out of Raleigh greatly regulate what you can do. And the fact of the matter is, public access is essentially 100% of our waterfront. And so I often read these things and say, I'd love to ask them where they're coming from and what they're really thinking. But in terms of what I'm saying about Raleigh, I have said for decades that Raleigh bureaucrats have tried to impose a one-size-fits-all solution on the nitrogen problem in the Neuse River. I think this all goes back to the fish gills in the, like the 90s, early or mid-90s. I think there was a ECU professor, Professor Burkholder,
Yep.
who did a lot of work. And I'm not challenging or criticizing that work, but most problems have more than one solution. And the single solution of putting a 75-foot vegetative buffer may be effective, but I dare say that engineers could come up with other solutions that wouldn't be as limiting. So if you look at Boston, New York, Baltimore, Beaufort, Moorhead, Wilmington, they develop right up to and even over the waterfront, and that's not an option in Craven County or in the Neuse River buffer zone. So you get down to Moorhead and Beaufort, you can do it on the Sound or the ocean, but you can't do it on the Neuse River. Again, it's got nothing to do with the pollution challenge, which I think is real and needs to be addressed, but that nitrogen is mostly coming courtesy of Raleigh anyhow, not courtesy of our local
Downstream,
people.
amen.
So, again, I don't know how, it seems like a daunting task to try and go to Raleigh and say, give engineers flexibility to tackle this problem in other ways. And so, how about you lighten up and say there might be other solutions and we will entertain those?
I think that might be part, correct me if I'm wrong, but the MS4 permit might address some of those, is that right?
It does address some of the nitrogen reduction, and it actually puts additional requirements that are required within the MS4 on applicants within the city, regardless if you're a coastal, abutting the riverfront or if you're inland. But these are mandated down to us also, and then we are therefore restricted by what is accepted in Raleigh as treatment methods. So there's a particular list that we have to stick with those options when permitting, and the designers have to stick with those options when they design.
And also, just to give you an idea for the kind of the evolution of stormwater management. I mean, 30 years ago, the mindset was to collect the stormwater and get it to a receiving channel as quickly as possible. Things have changed where now the industry is trying to, rather than collect it and get it someplace as quickly as possible, is trying to replicate the natural systems and getting it into the ground through detention, infiltration, that type of stuff. One of the problems we have here, though, is the high water table and the ability to get it into the ground so that it can. So, and I guess having the tools available to address those effectively is kind of what we're limited with. So.
Okay, does anybody have any comments about this? I think we need to come back, Jim.
If I can quickly ask, is there any update we can have for the Pepsi experience? It's mentioned in here quite a bit, but I don't know where we stand.
I'll let the chairman of the Bradham's Legacy
They're
address that.
really, right now, the focus is on communicating and negotiating, probably not the right word, but communicating with PepsiCo. Because in the feasibility study that was done on this, it came back extremely positive, but the most common feedback from potential donors was, what's PepsiCo going to do? So everyone wants to know what the international corporations' stance on this is. And Fortune 50 companies are bigger than aircraft carriers, and they're very slow to respond and adjust course. We've made tremendous progress in working up the chain. We expect to have conversations with the CEO in the coming months, and hopefully will be, their response will largely direct Bradham's legacy moving forward. There will be a Pepsi experience here in town. The magnitude of that is going to be somewhat determined by the PepsiCo response and what their level of engagement and commitment is.
I think we should note, though, I think it is important to know that PepsiCo is involved in that. They did give us $750,000. They did give us the collections. So, you know, it's not that they've had zero to do with us. I think it's important that we
And absolutely everything to date has been very positive. The people that are involved with Bradham's legacy from PepsiCo have been hugely helpful in guiding this, but it's a work your way up to the top. You don't start at the top. You know, you got to get buy-in from the different executive boards and things, and that's been going really, really well. And in fact, they not only has PepsiCo put forward $750,000 as kind of seed money for some of the soft costs on the front end, helping pay for you know, designers and consultants and things like that. But they also have essentially donated significant amounts of man-hours from their you know, like marketing and design team and things like that to put together some brochures and things that we hope to go out with as soon as we understand PepsiCo's position. So there's no intentional delay, it's just letting that massive organization do what it does.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Everybody else good? Let's go ahead and move on since we've got several things to talk about too. But we really need to, you know, Foster or Karen too, maybe you could drive that. We do need to get next steps on this report. I think it's imperative that we do that. Maybe in the new year that we'll have it on the agenda, maybe to flesh it out a little bit more. Okay, so next is our project status update. I asked Foster to, you know, we asked for so many things at the last meeting, and as you can see, we funded them, but we want to have an update on where everything's at. And
Yeah, I'll give an update on one, and then George has the rest
Right.
of them. So the kiosks that we ordered did come in. We're going to be putting one at Bear Plaza in the Devils, put the other one right over here at the Interpol Park, and that'll actually end up going to Union Point Park for a temporary basis. But we're going to put them in after the holiday season because of everything that's going on in Bear Plaza. It would really kind of take away from that. So we'll address that in the new year. But they look really nice, and we're excited to unveil those. George, what do you have on there?
who's going to program the information, Foster?
So we are going to be partnering with that with Swiss Bear and the TDA on that. Everyone's going to be combining their resources on that.
Are you like, will there be an electrical source to it that will be coming from the underneath, underground? Okay,
Yes.
so there'll be some construction and digging up the sidewalk. How long do you think that will take?
Not long at all.
A week?
Not long at all.
A month?
Probably a day.
Just to say, the best thing for merchants would be to have that up and running for December, because it's the shopping
Yeah, it would
season.
take too much away from the existing activity that's going on at Bear Plaza, so that's why we're gonna wait until after the holiday season.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll, when you see it, you'll understand exactly why I say that.
Well, if you're saying it's only gonna take one day,
Yeah, it's what's in Bear Plaza, that's why we're not doing that.
space.
Yeah, the space.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah. All right, George?
All right, I can go down my list here. The Broad Street parking at the pier, that is currently under design, and they had a last few things to check on for the stormwater, checking some boxes today. And we should have something coming up in the next week or so for the first concept of a 90% plan to get that to a point we can put it out to contract. The brick crosswalk locations, kind of an update on that. So we have contracted with Kimley Horn to give us some detailed construction details. They are anticipating having the 90% set to us November 21st, so just shortly here in a few days. December 5th, we'll return our comments, get them back, they'll make the revisions, and we're hoping to have our final set December 19th for a complete set of plans, and then we can start putting out the bid. And I do have, if you have time today, we have gone through several samples for the brick crossings, and this is a set, and I would tip them over, but they'll come out of the box. It's a tumbled set of solid modular paver that we can get from a vendor in Kinston, and it matches as close as we can find to what is existing on the brick crosswalks downtown. So we're trying to replicate kind of what is already in place with more of a historic look. It's kind of a multi-shaded historic brick, so it'll come, each modular brick will be a little bit different tone in a set of 4 or 5. And that's kind of what we're aiming to use for the center walkways, and then we'll have obviously concrete edge band on those. So we are hoping to be able to have something out in the bid process in January, so we can start this begin the first part of the year to start doing some construction. We're looking at the first intersection would be right in front of City Hall. So Craven Pond intersection would be our likely start. We'll see how long it takes, how long the contractors think it'll take, and the cost when they did those too. See how fast we can move through downtown with the ones that were proposed.
George, these are going to be flush, unlike the ones at the ends of Middle and, or I guess at Middle and,
Well,
all
George-
in Middle. Huh?
Yes, these are flush. These are not going to be raised tabletops.
Like in the palace.
That's a little bit different. That's actually got some old trolley tracks in it too. So that is no. Our intent is to have it as a brick smooth walkable surface, just like the one on Craven right now. That's mid-block, so that's our intention. We get the big one last. Kim mentioned this in our armrest, so we should, as soon as we have a date that they anticipate us receiving those, we'll start working on some installation. We have scheduled to start putting in some of the benches that have been received already, but Parks and Rec's got those, so we've got to put concrete pads down for those. You have seen some of the work on our guys painting the poles. So we're working our way downtown as fast as we can to get ahead of the Christmas wreaths that go up in several weeks. So
They're on South Front Street right now.
So we have done, right now, they've done the Riverwalk all the way from South Front intersection at Farmers Market all the way in front of the hotels around the convention center up to that intersection. We've done East Front from South Front to Broad, and they're finishing the gap. We had about a half-block gap on South Front today, so you'll see that in the coming days, just more and more will get painted. We'll let you know there are a couple that are going to require a second coat of paint. There were 2 or 3 right near the intersection of South Front and East Front, a little more weathered area, a little bit older poles that are going to need another coat. So don't think we're done just because you see one coat on some of these light poles. And then the inner core. So, provided to you in the.
Wait, before you go to that, a couple of questions. So the Pollock Street improvement plan for the sidewalks?
Oh, yes.
Can we talk about that? Sorry.
Okay, so we did an estimate based off of recent contracted work and the linear footage of those sidewalks. So it's approximately $50,000 a side to go from Craven to East Front. And so $100,000 to do that whole block, the 200 block, with a 5-foot sidewalk exposed asphalt. I will say that sidewalk had been done in 2011, 2012 with the tool concrete, so that's what's on the ground right now. And so that will be removed and the exposed aggregate will be put in its place if y'all decide that's a project that you want to move forward with.
So let's have some discussion so we can either give direction or not. Of course, the aldermen have the final say, but anybody have any comments about this?
Is the current sidewalk, you said 5 feet, is the current one 5 feet, or would it be widened?
It is 5 feet right now. We really don't have a lot of room to widen it due to existing landscape, driveways. Some of the historic homes have fences or bulkheads. The property line is right on the backside of the sidewalk in a lot of locations, so we don't have a lot of room to adjust that with.
Silly question, what is exposed aggregate?
That's the one where you see the stone.
Okay.
It's on Hancock Street, if you go down Hancock Street.
Hancock's got some of it.
Hancock's got some there.
My brain said gravel.
Is the river gravel, the smooth top.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gretchen, is this, since you're the resident on that street, is this meet your approval, or is this?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be
what-
widened, 5 feet would be plenty, it will dress it up so it looks like that block belongs more to the downtown. But that's not including then going all the way down to the river, the 100 block.
Right, yeah, they're current, we've seen current plans for some construction down there on that corner, and I would hate to go install something that would just immediately be torn up.
Correct.
And have to be replaced.
That makes sense.
I have kind of a basic question also.
Sure.
Have these projects already been approved by the alderman?
No, we are directing
No recommendation.
Foster if we approve, and then he would carry it to the Board of Aldermen to say, MSD has
Right.
approved this, would you like to
But
move
they
forward
haven't been
with it?
approved yet,
No.
but we're
This-
spending money.
No, this is what we're doing right
Those
now.
have not that sidewalk.
This
I
has
meant
not been
this.
done.
I meant-
Those, yes.
So all of this on this has been approved?
Correct.
Okay. just wanted to
Yeah, last meeting. Sorry. Yeah, no, we approved all, this is new, that's why.
Pretty
We're here
sure,
today.
yeah, we were pretty sure, but we weren't 100%.
Yes, no.
We don't have the authority or ability to
I
speak.
know.
Yes.
Didn't want to get the cart before the horse. Yeah.
He was asking for a friend.
Yeah. Thank you, council.
And did any of the approved bond funds apply to?
Good question.
I don't think they will, no, not for these sidewalks. The sidewalks are currently in good condition, and so the intent of the streets and sidewalks is to address where we have needs, and that's not a need with these sidewalks down here on Pollock Street.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of this group in giving direction to Foster?
I like it. I'd make a motion to present it to the Board of Aldermen, get asked presented to extend the 200 block of Pollock Street and install exposed aggregate.
Second.
And I will second that.
Dave, I think so first. Okay. So it's a motion's on the floor for, to give Foster direction to take this to the Board of Aldermen for funding. All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, another project. So that's all good. And before we move on to inner core, just an update. With benches, the railings, I mean, all of the other stuff that we talked about at the last, the hanging planters of all that stuff is in process.
We
Just wanna make sure.
ordered one as a sample, so they're gonna be putting that in.
Okay.
It'll be in the winter season when we've got some
Okay.
winter plants to put in a significant area so you can see that.
And the replacement banners, if they come in, you ordered replacement banners, it said,
And we will have the replacement banners. We have them in, they're getting screen printed.
okay.
So we're going to install them after Christmas, once the wreaths come down.
When will the trash cans be installed?
We've got probably as we look at doing bench slabs, likely a lot of those will be similar locations or somewhere adjacent to, so.
Okay, anybody have any other questions on the project status updates that we've just been talking about?
I'm just curious how many armrests were ordered. It's like, why are the armrests more expensive than benches?
These are from Victor Stanley, a
Yeah.
manufacturer that makes the wrought iron benches. And they only produce these when by order.
It's just really a lot for just arm benches. But anyway,
It
how
gets
many?
you about 50.
50 of them? Okay, just curious. Okay.
I just had one comment. Another resident in Skycell brought up the point that if, when they're placed along the Riverwalk, if some could be placed in the shade and some in the sun, I don't know if that is any consideration when you place them.
I think you should consider it. That could be a subgroup when they get over it.
I have to voice.
Well, that's a good idea. I mean, it's just like the placement of the trees, you know, we didn't think about things like that, so.
We take all that in consideration before we.
Trey, this falls on your lap, because you're gonna get the phone calls.
Public Works will have to clean the benches after the birds.
That are in the trees, amen to that one.
Well, that position that was funded for cleanup.
Okay, that's right. Okay, let's move along to the intercore update. You got it in your email thing, but Foster, you want to come up with
turn it over to
resolution?
George, yes.
Okay, we're kind of at a point, as y'all were talking about all these other visionary ideas over the last 30, 40 years, and we're still back to a concept, and this is just a concept generalization of general location where we anticipate improvement. It is all within city property. So you've got a walkway, a potential area for an additional gazebo, which would match up with the one in Bear Plaza now. Some type of planning structure that would fit in there, so we have to accommodate ADA requirements and parking and things like that. We have a loading zone to one side. Since we widen the width of that existing concrete island, we would need to encumber some of the existing perpendicular, angled parking. The crosswalks, these are just to show you where they're going. They're just kind of a concept of where they're going, maybe not actually the material. They may end up being brick crosswalks, similar to what's downtown, and what we're proposing in the report. So we're at a point where we need to be able to engage a civil firm to start designing something.
So again, this has been going on for quite a while, and we need to look at making a recommendation to the governing board. And we've got it blown up here as well. George, if you want to walk over there and at least walk through that on some of the amenities, the width of the walkway and things like that.
Right, so we're showing about a 9-foot wide loading zone. And then we have increased, so your 5.5 feet of sidewalk on either side, at least on this proposed drawing, with some type of 5-foot wide planting. That may or may not extend the whole way. It may be individual planters, just as that gets worked out. This would be a potential location for a gazebo to match similar to the one in Bear Plaza.
How many lights in that?
Well, we've got shown in here some improved area lights, and then area lights they're shown on here and on the ones that you got in your handout. Just general locations of putting some improved lighting in there. And we have just boxed in this area for, it is all on city property, whether that ends up being some type of compactor, multiple cans. It just gives a general idea of the general location. That's where our intent is in some orientation. So this is just to get us to a starting point to then reach out to start getting some real plans put together to get to that end point of bidding this so we get it constructed.
And connecting from the brick walkway in between where the parking is to go all the way over to Bear Plaza, that would all be brick walkway connecting.
Would it be flush or would it be a table?
With the pedestrian traffic that I would anticipate coming through there, it might not be a bad idea to do tabletops in there. They would be wider than, they're not speed bumps. Even wider than what is down at XXL in the middle. You probably have a 10-foot deck on it and inside slopes.
Also slow down some of the traffic.
Exactly right. It's a good pedestrian element that could be.
Less steps,
Are
more traffic.
you looking for feedback at this point, or are you just looking to go to someone to get them to bring something forward?
We're looking for project feedback. The goal is, if you like this, we're ready to present to the governing board, so then staff can contract with with an engineer to go ahead and do the design. 'Cause it's not gonna come back to this group to nitpick those types of things.
What?
It's the project itself.
So now we need to nitpick.
So if I'm
If you want to nitpick, but again, I'm telling you, this has been kicked down the curve for a long time. It's time to do something.
Well, this is nitpicking, but I think that there should be a few places that connect the two sides, the two 5-foot walkways. People will step through that area, so I would not have it planted 100% of the way. So there's a nit, I would think I would connect the bricks in, 2 to 4 locations that would be pedestrian access back and forth. I also think there should be some seating areas, benches somewhere here. And my last question is, I think that sidewalk to nowhere coming, as it's oriented now, coming down from the circular tree
Yeah, I want to see
bed.
that along.
I don't know why that would be the purpose of that. It doesn't go anywhere, and I think it'd be, if anything, it'd be better for traffic to be able to, complete the circle and exit back out. So those are my nits.
Is there a cost estimate for this? Is it within what we have to spend? What would it be?
No, our general thought when we first started talking about concept plans was budgeting somewhere around $750,000 for the whole thing. Now, that would include resurfacing, restriking. It's not just going to be this walkway.
And we gotta run water and electric and all of that to
You've
here.
got drainage, we're gonna, there's potential that we'll have to redo some of the drainage to incorporate the new structures.
I guess one more nit, I think that the pedestrian crossways there should absolutely be done in a brick-like material, the way we're doing on the roadways.
Yes.
So that's like a no-brainer to me.
I would say, none of downtown would have gotten done if it hadn't have been for leverage. We borrowed the money, we did it, we were able to pay. I'd rather do this project and do it right, get the benches we need, not saying, well, we only have a $750 budget. Get the water right, get the electric right, make sure we have plenty of lighting, we're able to clean down the areas where the trash are, we might need more than one water spigot. We want to make sure that we have some kind of something underneath that front gazebo on Craven Street to house the Greg Smith sculpture that was planned for there many, many years ago. And I say, let's do what we need to do, let's do it right. This is our one opportunity to do it right, and if we have to borrow the money, we've got the money then to make the payments. We've done that for the last 30 years, and we've reaped the benefit of being able, we would have never gotten the sidewalks if we had to wait to have some money, or they scaled back doing. And another project we're gonna have down the line we need to look at is all that underground infrastructure is outdated. It doesn't work anymore. We can't get good internet service down here because of it, and we've got all kinds of issues. So those are the infrastructure needs that sometimes the city isn't willing to take on, that MSD has to take on. So, Ms. Jensen.
I think we're gonna call some attention to the loading zone. If you're thinking of one of the 14-wheel vehicles coming back there, it's not gonna be able to navigate into that spot that's drawn. So the loading zone is not gonna be used by the trucks that actually use that space. So I think if you're going to plan this, you need to plan where the trucks go. And if you don't include on-street loading at this point to incorporate that into this whole plan, then you're really missing an opportunity. So blocking the Craven Street parking lot side for maybe temporary 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock for on-street loading and prevent those large trucks from going in the back. Now, smaller trucks and service vehicles that are there to do HVAC and those kind of things can park in the space that's designed, but the big loading trucks that come in, the beer trucks and the food trucks that come back there, won't be able to use that space. So they'll still be parking randomly, blocking the navigation of vehicles through that space. So you have to address the on-street parking when that's going to happen so that loading can occur.
You're exactly right. Just because we have this loading zone right here does not mean that any of the on-street is going to go away, because it won't. We've studied that. We see how it is on Pollock Street, Craven Street, Middle Street. And so, yeah, we'll be addressing that.
I think you make a great point that do it from, midnight until 10 a.m.
Right.
That
And
it's
it's parking other times.
Yeah, and that should work. And then the restaurants can coordinate with the delivery companies that you will deliver, before 10 a.m. or there's no place to park, or you will get a ticket. You know?
Most of them.
Usually is.
Sometimes the only problems I experience is more like the beer and wine folks, they tend to come sometimes right in the middle of lunch.
Yeah.
But if there's a city restriction, they tend to learn pretty quick that they want the money in sales, and they're gonna adapt their logistics.
Is that possible to have an ordinance, Trey, you might be able to answer this too, an ordinance that restricts deliveries, on-street deliveries between a certain hour, and just, to me, I think, there's nothing worse than trying to come down the street and you got FedEx and, then you got UPS, then you got another truck delivering, people can't get into parking
Well, I'm
spaces.
sure a lot of us have been in New Orleans, they do all their deliveries in the morning,
Yeah.
and those streets are clean and swept up in the
Yeah.
morning, if you're up that early and walk around. I'm a-
That might be something that would help us to navigate some of that.
It doesn't sleep.
I've seen people standing on the corner drinking beer when that's going on.
Have we all?
That might be true.
The other concern is where the trash is now delineated. It's got 4 walls around it. How, is there going to be a gate or gatage with that? Are those raised walls or?
And that'll all be developed in this plan.
Okay.
I mean,
One
the
of the-
visual impact.
Yeah, we want it to
of
be
the trash
totally
is-
enclosed. Nobody
is
wants to
gonna
look at the
be
trash.
considered.
So my concern is with total enclosure, if there's a gate involved, if that gate has to swing wide enough to let a truck go in and remove a dumpster, that gate's gonna have to be closed, right? And so right now, the dumpster doors don't get closed. A gate itself is not going to be closed either. By the men and women that bring the trash during the day or nighttime, they're a little hesitant or reticent to close a gate. They're probably going to leave that gate open. If the gate is left open and it's large enough to let a dumpster be removed by a truck, that gate is going to block traffic. So if the gate is open and not closed completely, traffic is going to be impeded. So you're going to have either a rolling gate that only lets one dumpster be exposed, or you're going to have a gate that has chronically left open and impedes traffic. So it's a concern if it's going to open into the parking lot.
Jim, I believe in the design, and Dave, you could tell us, didn't it have like a opening where instead of a gate, you could put the
That was with the compact.
yeah, compactor, yeah. That's what we would look at is the compactor, because it can handle that much more.
This
trash.
really isn't
This is
bigger.
launching to the aldermen, so it leaves our hands, so.
Correct, but our recommendation, I would think, would be the compactor, because it can hold that much more, and it slides out easy. You can leave that little window so you don't have to pull the gate, and then it slides out this way,
I
so.
just don't see a compactor on there.
Yeah, and it would have to be configured different.
Yeah.
And this is just general.
Just a space
ordinance
design.
To show that this, our intent is to utilize city property somewhere up in this corner. Now, whether it is a compactor that requires angling, if there's wall doors for the people that are utilizing the canisters, then that'll all be developed in that plan.
And I guess it would just, I think the point that's being made is that this group spent a lot of time, we had a trash committee and a dumpster committee.
Very
And-
successful one.
And the outcome of that, well, I think there was a strong bias toward a compactor. And if that required angling or whatever to accommodate it, and I think it had to go more lengthwise and widthwise, whatever, this group's powerful recommendation would be to go that direction. I think, am I saying that right?
I have a question along those lines, John. So the other recommendations we made have been fairly specific about types of brick and where they'll be and all these things. Is the city looking for a recommendation now that is less than that for this? Is it just go forward and do it? Or are you looking, do you want this committee to have one more chance at giving the details and agreeing on things? So that
Well,
you have more direction?
Again, this committee is not a designer. Okay, this
Right.
committee, the goal of this committee is to come up with recommendations to the governing board. That's what we're looking for. Okay, and if any other comments you want to make, definitely as we're working with the engineers on this, we'll definitely consider those things. But it's time to bring something to the governing board.
And that's what I'm asking. Are you looking to bring something that has a level of detail and specificity that these other things have? Or are you just saying we need something now, whatever it is?
I'm satisfied with the plan that we have on there to be able to present that to the governing board with an estimated budget. I'm pleased with that.
And after the sections get designed, we may have an opportunity to discuss those details. We just need to get it to the designers, is what you're talking
Right.
about.
Sure, yeah, we have no problem with that.
Because they made
Because what I want to tell you,
recommendations
there,
Yes.
what I want to tell you, when it comes to the trash itself, there are a lot of opinions on that. Ultimately, with a trash compactor, if a trash compactor is put right there, the end users are going to be paying for that. The city and the MSD will not be. And so the people that are contributing to that, they're going to have to be brought to the table. That's when Public Works will have a meeting with those folks to see, hey, are you guys willing to pay the extra, whatever that could be, as opposed to the dumpster pickup now? So a lot of things have to come into play on that part, and it's not for this committee. We know, got the idea of what you're wanting to do, but we need to move forward.
I think we could say things like, we prefer a trash compactor that has a code on it,
Sure.
something like that. We prefer more historic looking brick, or brick that would be more amenable and driving. We prefer to have a gazebo on both sides. We prefer to have, we don't like all that concrete next to that tree. Maybe cut that off and make it, thinner there. I think those are the kind of things we should see. It's not details, it's just saying that. Is that correct?
Again, we could spend a whole other year doing this.
Yes.
And we don't need to. We need to move forward. Okay? Because here's what I can tell you. You've got a city manager, you've got a public works director, you've got an alderman-elect who's been to every one of these meetings. I can promise you, we've taken a lot of notes from what everyone has said. And if you think we're not going to pay attention to what you said, that's not the case. Because everything will be incorporated into this.
Because you're gonna hear about it more if you don't.
Absolutely. You are exactly right. You're exactly right.
What is the status of the anomaly with the survey back there? Where there's that little piece that is isolated, that's owned by the city?
Yeah, we're talking about the parking spaces for the condos. The city's going, Foster, correct me if we're gonna use every bit of our own property. They're gonna have to move their cars back a little bit further.
Okay, so there's actually more room back there?
Correct.
And it shows it on the back of that box
Yeah.
there.
Vaughn, didn't you quit claiming that?
I got a judge for it.
Questions? Do you want to make any comments, Trey? How do you feel? As the alderman-elect, you ready to move this forward?
I have come to these meetings since you started it in, I think it was February, March of this year, so I've come to all of this year's meetings. I have talked to a lot of you individually about this project. This project has been debated in this committee and outside this committee since, my understanding is 2007. I am ready to get started on it as a phase one for some of the larger visionary ideas that you all have proffered. But we've got to get it to the board, get it voted on, get it moving so that we can expand it out, if that's what we want to do. So I'm ready for you all to recommend it so that I can say it was unanimously recommended by the MSD.
I would make it, do we have a motion?
Yeah, we will.
I
But
make
I have
a
one other
motion.
question before you do that, if you don't mind.
You're ruining the thunder. There was a whole effect there, Sabrina. That was a whole effect, and you just ruined
But
it.
I want to make sure the motion,
No.
would one of the recommendations that we make too, does that need to be a public statement of that, about the parking, that it will go to kiosk parking? And that because you're going to be losing the parking, on that
You
side?
can make that recommendation. That's going to really be up to
The alderman,
staff
understood.
and our discussions with the governing board on that. But you are welcome to make that.
Because that's the big
recommendation.
issue. Yeah, it's the big issue back there. I agree. Okay, now make your motion, that's why I'm.
Well, that's a curveball. I was just gonna make a motion that we recommend this with the nits that have been tossed out on, connectors and pavers for the walkways and eliminating that lower sidewalk and those other nits. I think someone got notes on them.
We do.
I recommend that we move that to the Board of Aldermen.
I'll second that.
Okay. And since you didn't specifically say it, can I make an amendment? But I can't because I'm the chair, right? I can't make the amendment about the parking.
That's right. There's a motion and a second. Call the vote.
Okay. Nobody wants to make an amendment, okay. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
I'm so
opposed?
proud of this board.
I'm gonna feel so bad not calling it Trash Plaza anymore.
Where's the champagne?
The party at Baxter's Inn.
We open tomorrow.
Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is approve the dates for the 2026 meeting. So we need to go ahead. Foster's come up with these. Have you verified the availability of the space?
These dates as presented are available, yes.
Are available. Okay, so you see February 17th, May 19th, August 18th, and October 27th. So I just need a motion to approve this, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have Nikki and Johnny Rob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Manager, do we have any new MSD project proposals?
We have none that have been presented through the portal, but I think Johnny Robinson has a comment he'd like to make.
Yeah, I have a small one that I'm going to bring up, and Foster and I have talked about it, and I talked about it with Karen as well. So in March of 2026, New Bern is going to host the Main Street Conference for the state of North Carolina, and we did it back in 2020. Anticipate, what's the date exactly?
March 10th through 12th.
10th through 12th, so it was like a Monday through, I can't
Tuesday
remember.
through Thursday.
Tuesday through
Half of
Thursday.
Thursday.
So middle of the week. We are going to have people coming to New Bern from all over the state, probably rounded up to 1,000 people, might be a little bit more, who knows, coming all through downtown. And one of the things that Main Street does is they allocate Swiss Bear / City of New Bern to put this event on. There's a lot of costs that go associated with it. The state doesn't pay for it. And we're looking for funds. And so I would make I'm coming to this board to talk about and make a motion that we provide $5,000 to provide funds to market and promote downtown New Bern for the 2026 Main Street. So that is my motion.
I'll second that.
All right, I'll miss the chair. I've got a question too. I'm looking for my, the statute.
So you're asking for five, but what is the cost? And so what I will also mention to you is last time in 2020, when the Main Street Conference was here, funds were allocated toward that in the forms of banners. And so $2,500 at that time was allocated for banners.
We bought new banners, but we didn't allocate it towards the function.
But you can
It was toward the banners. And so, and actually from the banner cost that Swiss Bear has gotten, it would take up just about all the $5,000 for that.
Okay, and that would be fine. I would feel more comfortable in funding something like that than marketing, because then how does any other organization then come and ask us to do something within downtown? I'd rather it be specific to a functionality like a banner. I mean, that's just my comment. I'm not, $5,000 towards banners, or, something that, lighting, we're gonna make the poles light up or something like that, versus marketing and promoting. That's just my only comment. And again, I wish I had,
Yeah, so Sabrina, can we even allocate money for something like that? Doesn't it have to be something that
It
benefits?
qualifies.
It does?
It does by state statute, that's
We
correct.
can sponsor festivals and markets in the downtown area, promoting business investments in the downtown area,
Okay.
helping to coordinate public and private actions in the downtown area, and developing and issuing publications on the downtown area.
So the total cost will be
Yeah, how much you
like
talking?
30? Is that what you're saying?
Something like that.
For our whole, Swiss Fair is expected to put aside $30,000 to pay for the Main Street, our part of the Main Street Conference next year.
And Mumfest?
No Mum Fest.
And no Month Fest.
I think we should get more. Because it directly benefits the downtown.
And that's because there was no Mum Fest, there was a big hit to Swiss Bear in order to fund things like this, is what we're saying.
I'm not against that, but at the same time, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. I'm trying to give Foster something he can give to his board and make it, presentable and something that'll get passed, frankly.
I think it would be a good idea. The last Main Street Conference that was here, I benefited greatly. My only complaint was I didn't know more about it at the time. There wasn't enough information as to, so when it was here, it was a missed opportunity for me because I didn't have enough information up front on what was actually happening. And this is a big deal. It was huge back then and I missed it and I wouldn't want to miss it this year. So.
It really
That's kinda how I feel
showcases
about it.
downtown
It really
to the
does.
people who
It
matter,
did.
you know?
Yeah.
It's tourism.
Well, one of the other things about it, frankly, is Eastern, what they try to do is they try to do an east-west thing where they alternate
Yes.
Eastern North Carolina, Western North Carolina. There's not many towns in Eastern North Carolina that can host this event. I mean, it's pretty much us in Goldsboro for the most part, as far as facilities and hotels and everything else, and people want to come back here. So the more we invest in this and the more we promote it, like I say, Mike, believe, the
Right.
better
It was,
face we put forward, the
and
more
all
they
the
want to
business,
come back.
all of the businesses need to have more information on exactly what this will do because no one did the first time around, very few. So, yeah, I think that, and my other question is, will we have the kiosk in? Will there be benches? Will with trees? Will
Benches with armrests.
armrests? We'll have all of that by March, so all of that will be, okay.
Johnny, I found the statute, so, and I agree with you, it says sponsoring festivals and markets in the downtown area, promoting business investment in the downtown area, helping to coordinate public and private actions in the downtown area, and developing and issuing publications on the downtown area. So I guess we could be, you know, we're a sponsor of Mumfest. This isn't a festival or a market. It's not business investment, even though it's good. I mean, could we, in essence, pay $5,000, $10,000 towards it? It doesn't help, and maybe some of our local property owners or people could attend. I mean, something like that gives an investment in helping property owners. You attend some of those sessions, they're amazing. And I saw who the lead speaker is gonna be, and he will be phenomenal. You know, I just think, so it's things like that. I'm just wondering, even if we could invest in payment, in sponsoring one of the speakers, that to me gives a more investment rather than just a blanket marketing program. Don't get me wrong, I'm trying to fit this all within to the benefit of what we're all doing.
So that, there are, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
Yes.
I would say that according to Foster, this qualifies. And I think MSD gets income from things other than direct tax dollars. I would argue that this may not be the best investment for those paying the taxes, but when you collect money from parking and the farmer's market, there's income coming in. And Johnny, I would like to support more than 5. I think we should have 10 or I think that amount's open discussion. But those funds that we're generating through participation downtown, I think can rightly be used to foster something like this, to increase the tourism and visitation of folks downtown.
And so as to distinguish this for future requests, when people say, well, you supported, Main Street Conference isn't just about tourism. You're bringing in developers,
Educators,
you're bringing
yes.
in preservationists, you're bringing in the people that are going to become attracted to developing New Bern.
Contractors,
I mean, that's
architects.
incredible.
That's what I'm saying, maybe,
Wow.
you know, even sponsor a speaker or something
Right.
that's a little more well-rounded than just marketing. I just would feel better that it's really, regardless of how we get our funds, I just think it would be the investment. To me, that's an investment in downtown, because it helps people understand. A lot of our issues here is, a lot of property owners don't understand about the MSD and the infrastructure within downtown.
And also given the Mumfest problem.
Right.
Right, so
Yeah.
you have an organization that took this on, not knowing that we wouldn't have Mumfest.
I'm wondering if we sponsored a speaker, or we did sponsor something like that, would that reduce your cost?
No, so the speakers are all covered by Main Street, but I can look at what we
Maybe
are
they would
responsible
reduce.
for and see, you know, would they do some sort of swap out on that, or would they, you know, what
Maybe
we
one
are
of the meals we
responsible.
sponsored by MSD, and it's something that puts us
And
out
we
there.
definitely can always put signage up around, there's a reception on the Tuesday night that, you know, we could say that this is sponsored by that. So sponsorships, they encouraged me on the calls to get sponsorships. And so if we do it that way, then that's how we can recognize it.
I think also to Mickey's point, These people are here to see downtown. That's why they're here.
Yes.
They will be walking downtown and poking in the shopping. That's why they are here. And so it's important that the Downtown Business Association or whoever explains that.
Yes,
Be
yes.
open.
I mean, they were city managers from every county in North Carolina. They were all here. All these people, development, everybody was here in all those counties.
And I think
We
Karen
didn't know.
mentioned, and Johnny was there also, I was at this a couple of years ago, but not the most recent one. And they encouraged some of the downtown restaurants that maybe aren't typically open for lunch.
Right.
You might want to be open, and you might want to have a limited menu where people can get in and out quickly.
Same with the shops.
But
Stay
yeah,
later.
and yeah, the shops may decide, you might want to invest in a little extra, low price memorabilia kind of, whatever.
Little, souvenir or something. Karen, you also mentioned bear bucks. Would this be a good time to launch?
It would be a great time to launch Bear Bucks. I think that, again, what we have right now is a budget issue to talk about with the funding behind something like that. But, yeah.
We'll probably something to discuss later. And I appreciate the support. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer to support this. And my only thing is, I don't want to pigeonhole the funds just so much as to, we want to let Karen do her job in putting the spin on. And now, I think it would be fair to ask Karen after the event's over, how did we spend that money? And you come back with the report, I allocated that to this, and this much money went to this, and this much money went to this.
Well, considering that a number of this membership is also on the Swiss Bear Board, I think we'll have some oversight over that and a voice.
So really, we ask our elected officials to support this. And so I think we need to propose a number, right? And maybe give some guidance. They can do what
That's
they
all
will.
we need, and then we'll take it from there.
Right. So,
Give it a.
yeah, I propose 10.
All right, well, let's.
I agree.
We have 10,000, now you're 10,000. 12, going once.
All right, so let me revise my motion. I would make a motion that this committee recommend to the Board of Aldermen to provide $10,000 in funds to market and promote downtown neighborhood for the 2026 Main Street Conference.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Other to say, are we still pigeoning the marketing and promotion, or are we gonna let Karen decide?
To support as.
Karen and the board.
Support.
Yes,
Yeah, support.
support
That's a better word, yeah.
As.
Revision, yeah.
So will you revise your motion?
Yes,
just
I
to make
will.
it a
All
little
right.
broader.
All right, let me do that, all right. This organization, MSD, I make a motion that we provide $10,000 to provide funds to support, market, and promote downtown neighborhood for the 2026 Main Street Conference.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Got all members? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank y'all.
No, thank you. So, the last the last Main Street Conference held here in Newburgh was the last official act of the state of North Carolina before it shut down.
Yep.
We closed the doors at 5 o'clock and the state shut down the next day. So we were COVID, and we were really lucky that, we were really lucky that we got that conference that actually the state was shut down.
And Sabrina, I want to piggyback on that one little comment as well. I just want to talk about, speaking of shutdowns, what a tough decision that was with the MumFest and shutting that down. And I think in hindsight, we made the right decision. I don't have any second thoughts about that, but I want to go on record as saying what a good job, particularly the city was as a partner, as far as facilitating that decision and lead up that led into it, and George and Foster and Marvin and everybody else from the city was totally supportive, and we couldn't ask for more, so thanks, guys.
And then the businesses stepping up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hostels. Yeah.
And actually, I heard, and maybe some of you who have businesses and restaurants downtown, I heard that it really, Saturday was a very good day,
Yeah, we had
in
great
spite
day.
of the rain.
Yes.
For merchants, it was the best Mumfest I have ever had as a business in, I'm just, yeah.
But it was
As
a
many other merchants downtown, the merchants did extremely, yeah, so I think we need to look at why that was so and figure that out.
Well, I know a
Yeah,
partial
definitely.
answer to that is that, and this is actually good to feed into the knowledge base, hotel guests can't cancel within 24 hours. So if the notice of the not having it comes less than 24 hours, they're on the hook for their hotel room. So the hotels had people saying, well, I'm gonna cancel Saturday night, but since I'm paying for Friday, I'm just gonna come and enjoy and go out to dinner and stuff. So there were, yeah.
19,000 people downtown that Saturday.
Dang.
It was a big
Wow.
They were everywhere.
So we got
In the
basically a
rain.
quarter of the
And it was
anticipated
raining,
attendance.
and they were out, yeah.
Okay, do we have any public comments? I guess you're, Gretchen,
I'm the
you're
only public.
public and you.
I'm the only public here.
No comments, okay, all right. that
Thank you
sounds
for
good.
voting.
Yes, I did, yes.
I did my civic duty today.
Does anybody have anything else for the good of the order before I ask for adjournment? Okay, I guess we'll see you all in February. May I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Okay. All those in favor?
Yes.
Party's over.